Petition to bring back the old 90s Capcom logo thing. I really miss that logo thing. This is Resident Evil, or Biohazard, as the intro got confused about. It's Biohazard in Japan, it's Resident Evil everywhere else. Um, when you think about it, this is a pretty crazy franchise, isn't it? It's like over the years, it's reinvented itself over and over and over again, so that it can survive really and keep going for what, 25 years? Ugh. So, personally, I like to split this whole franchise into three kind of eras, like the classic era, the middle era, and the revival era is what I call them. The classic era being the original PlayStation trilogy, 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, probably put the remake in there as well, Resident Evil Zero, the two Outbreak games as well, the little known Outbreak games that no one talks about anymore. All of the tank controlled, fixed camera angled stuff. Oh, and Gun Survivor as well. Unfortunately, Gun Survivor is canon. It's hilarious though. And then the middle era, that's kind of where it starts to go off the rails a bit for me. That'd be 4, 5, and 6, and the Revelations games, Operation Raccoon bullshit. You know those ones. That's the point where the whole franchise seems to kind of lose faith in itself. I just want to quickly explain my stance here because it's quite a controversial thing to say because it's got Resident Evil 4 in it, which is apparently the best game ever made. And like Resi 4, yeah, it redefined action games as a genre. I get that. It's one of the most important games that's ever been created. Shinji Mikami is a creative genius, don't get me wrong. It cannot be like understated how important that game is. Like it's still being copied now, right? Third person action games are Resident Evil 4. And it did everything right and it did it first, I understand that. But it did start this slippery slope that the franchise kind of got stuck in until quite recently. It kind of ends in Revelations 2, I guess, or 6 if you prefer. That's kind of where the core identity of this franchise, that like what it was in the first place, that's kind of where it got lost. I think the developers they seem to have lost faith in survival horror as a genre. Now don't get me wrong, they're still good games. They're outstanding well-made games, but they're probably some of the worst Resident Evil games. And yeah, I do put Resident Evil 4 into that bucket. Sorry. And then we have the revival era where they've kind of reclaimed their throne a little bit. Probably made 2 or 3 of the best horror games ever made, really. Like a total return to form that I would actually argue surpasses the classic era in many ways. That's Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8, and the 2 remakes of 2 and 3. So, just for reference, I've played all of these games, and I think that Remake 2 is the best Resident Evil game. I'm saying that now, just really for reference, because I'm going to give a lot of opinions and talk about the design and things of these games. To me, that one's perfect. That one is survival horror totally perfected as a genre. I'd probably go so far to say it's the best survival horror game that you can play right now, to be honest. Would I say it's better than Silent Hill 2? Uh, uh. A lot of games, and it's really interesting to play through them and kind of analyze the design of them all, I think. So you can kind of see how the series evolves and kind of stagnates twice before reinventing itself again, so that it can just keep going and keep staying relevant. So for this little project that I'm doing now, I'm working on I'm planning on going through the original trilogy, so we can talk about how the design changes over time. So there's going to be no leech wizards, unfortunately, just yet, but I think Resi One's dialogue is going to more than make up for that. So a little bit about this game. I unironically adore this game, to be honest. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all about the Silent Hill. I don't really see Silent Hill as much of a competitor to Resident Evil, though. Not really. They're very different in terms of design, and you know, Silent Hill did come out 3 years after this game as well, so I don't think it really compares. But taken as an entire franchise, well, Resident Evil didn't shit the bed after 3 games, did it? So I think it kind of goes without saying, which I think is a better franchise overall. I should mention as well that this game does have a near perfect remake, which is definitely my preferred way of playing this game. But I'm not going to compare and contrast the remake too much, because again, that wouldn't really be fair. I want to focus on the originals for now. So, with that out of the way, if it will stop demoing to me, with that out of the way, you get to pick between two characters. We've got Jill, like right before her hair turned blonde and her boobs grew like 20 bra sizes bigger, and Chris before he doubled in body mass and became the frickin' Fist of the North Star. Humble beginnings, really, for these guys. So, we'll be playing as Jill, because it's me, and I always play as Jill. she's labelled as easy mode, but honestly, I think that's a bit of a misnomer. The game's pretty rough either way, to be honest. So she has a bigger inventory, she's got more access to heavy firepower, she's got a lot less backtracking as we go, but she's also a lot more vulnerable. Like, she dies in about 3 chomps, I think, something like that. Unlike Chris, who has a bigger health pool. So when you play as Jill, you either need to be really good at dodging, or you need to be carrying healing items with you all of the time, which kind of mitigates the extra inventory space, so it's quite well balanced. Really, the choices between hard and easy, I'd say it's more like playing a different balance of the game's design than it is actually making the difficulty easier. This is the PC version though, not the PlayStation version. And there are some changes. On Jill's playthrough, she seems to have unlimited saves for some reason, because you have limited saves in this game, but we'll talk about that later. I can't say I'm a big fan of that, but I'll get over it. I do prefer the PS1 original to this one in terms of the game's balance, but this one has quick turn and it loads faster, so that's why we're doing this one.
Alpha Team is flying around the forest zone situated in northwest Raccoon City, where we're searching for the helicopter of our compatriots Bravo Team, who disappeared during the middle of our mission.
You haven't found it?
No, I haven't found it yet. Bizarre murder cases have recently occurred in Raccoon City. There are outlandish reports of families being attacked by a group of about 10 people. Victims were apparently eaten. Bravo Team went to the hideout of the group and disappeared.
Look, Chris!
It was Bravo Team's helicopter. Nobody was in it. But strangely, most of the equipment was still there. However, we soon discovered why.
Hey! Come here! Hey!
Chris Redfield. Jill Valentine. Barry Burton. Rebecca Chambers. Albert Wesker. Biohazard.
What is this?
Wow. What a mansion.
Captain Wesker, where's Chris?
Stop it. Don't open that door.
But Chris is...
What is it?
Maybe it's Chris. Now, Jill, can you go?
I'm going with you. Chris is our old partner, you know.
Okay, let me handle this. Stay alert.
A dining room.
Did you know that there's a bit of a controversy going on at the time of recording this, where people are trying to defend the sanctity of the writing of these games? I don't think they've ever played them. So, that was the introduction to the game, and because we're playing the PC version, which is technically the Japanese version of the game, we got the uncensored intro cutscene, so how about that? So, first of all, voice acting. I know, it's baffling, isn't it? It's like, it's barely even human. There's nothing more to be said about it at this point, though. I'm not going to keep harping on about the voice acting, because that's the meme, right? Like, everyone knows there's nothing more to be said about it. Let's just giggle at it and move on. We'll embrace the B-movie schlock of this entire franchise, to be honest. It is absolutely wonderful. I will probably bring it up again, though, when we meet Richard, for my favourite scene in any video game ever. So this is Resi 1. We take a little bit of time to get you two more acquainted. So this game, it's kind of sort of a remake of a game called Sweet Home, which was on the Famicom, and this game is directed by the great Shinji Mikami, brought on board fresh off of the Goop Troop game, another visceral survival horror experience. We're a badass beret-wearing lady called Jill Valentine, a member of the Special Tactics and Rescue Service, or STARS, otherwise known as the greatest acronym ever conceived. It's a division of the Raccoon City Police Department. So we've been investigating some cannibalistic murders where victims were being eaten. Bravo team have gone missing, so the Alpha Boys, over here, we've come in to find out what's going on, but we found spooky zombo woofers, and here we are now. We've fled into the mansion for safety with Barry and Wesker. Wesker being a sunglasses-wearing guy who absolutely is not the baddie. We don't know where the Fist of the North Star is. He's kind of disappeared. So you've probably already noticed that this game's using fixed camera angles, which is great. I'll probably talk about them more as we go, but I really miss this in modern games. It lets them control the mood. That's the most important part for me. Like, every single shot you see in this game is the director's, and that's quite hard to do with a freely controllable camera. Can these survival horror games work without fixed camera angles? I mean, Resi 2 Remake says that they can, but I still miss them. Because we have fixed camera angles as well, we also have tank controls, as it should. They take some getting used to, I'll admit. So the idea of tank controls is that you can only move in two directions, backwards and forwards, and then you have to rotate to turn around. So the reason for tank controls is because the camera angles are changing, like this. So if you're holding up, you're always running forward. That's why, if I was using 2D controls, as soon as the camera angle changes, because I'm holding up, my character would spin around and then run backwards. In the remake, they actually add this control scheme, and it's kinda bad, to be honest. So its detractors are wrong. The detractors of tank controls, they're wrong. I'm sorry, I know it's subjective, but they are subjectively wrong. It makes the most sense. This control scheme makes the most sense for how this camera works. One thing that is jumping out at me right now is how bare the pre-rendered backgrounds actually look. Like, they're not bad, but they do kind of look like prototypes, don't they? Let's go see what Barry wants.
What is this?
What is it?
Blood. Jill, see if you can find any other clues. I'll be examining this. Hope this is not Chris's blood.
Oh, you can skip the door animations on the PC version as well, which I'll probably start doing as we go, because, again, the door animations, absolutely iconic. I love them to bits, don't get me wrong, but they get old. They just get old. I'm sorry, but they do. Oh no, it's a zombie!
Barry?
What is it?
Watch out! It's a monster!
Let me take care of this. What is it?
Kenneth was killed too. Maybe by this creature. Anyway, let's report this to Wesker.
How long was it before this elite team of police officers opened fire on an unarmed man? How many seconds was that? I think Barry didn't know that he was cannibalizing Kenneth. Jill never told him that part. Something wrong with you, Barry.
Wesker! Help me look for him, Jill. And don't leave this hall for the time being. Find anything, Jill?
Nothing. What is this all about? I can't figure it out at all.
Beats me, too.
Now it's Wesker's time to disappear. I don't know what's going on.
Well, it can't be helped. Let's search for him separately. I'll check the dining room again.
Okay, I'll try the door on the opposite side.
This mansion is gigantic. We could get into trouble if we get lost. We should start from the first floor, okay? And Jill, here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
Thanks. Maybe I'll need it.
Listen, if something happens, let's meet up in this hall. This time, I'll be there.
I haven't played the original in a long time, actually, so I'm probably going to have to try and transfer my knowledge of the... Oh, there's a save point here. No. So again, she doesn't use ink ribbons, it's weird, but... Yeah, I haven't played the original in a while. I have played the remake a lot, so I'm going to have to kind of transfer my knowledge backwards. So some of the rooms are going to be in different orders, and the the general event is, it just kind of plays out in a different order, I think. Like, different doors unlocked by different keys and things like that, so it's going to be pretty interesting to go through. I think the big objective is that you... Oh, we don't even have a map yet. Is that you have to find 4 crests to get to the next, the residence part of the game. I think, I can't really remember, to be honest, but I do know that Jill doesn't have the sword key in this scenario, like Chris does, because she's the master of unlocking, so she can just head straight for the first save room, I guess. So my first experience with this game was when I was a bab. I don't know how old. Probably between... I would have been pretty young. I would have been like 5 or 6 years old when I first played this game. Played is a strong word, I think, but... Like, my dad was playing Resi 1 back on the PlayStation 1, and me being an absolute daddy, like little daddy's girl, I wanted to join in. So, being top dad, with amazing parenting skills, he like kind of handed me the controller and let me play it. So I met the first zombie, the guy that was chomping on Kenneth just, and I didn't know how to shoot, or I didn't really consider that I had to run away. So Dad was laughing and I was screaming. So back to Spyro and the Mega Drive for me after that. This wasn't my first horror game though, interestingly enough. My first horror game would have been Splatterhouse 2 on the Mega Drive. That game broke me when I was little. A few years later, I'll carry on in a minute, we're about to get dog-eyed. I always like that camera angle, and the quick zoom in so you can see how the shadow makes it look like she has a moustache. Well, kind of like a whole 5 o'clock shadow. Damn, Jill. Okay, this one's an armor door now. That's interesting. So yeah, a few years later, when I was finally old enough to play a game like this, you know, the really mature age of like 10 or something, I got Resi 2. And I remember being scared of the box art. I don't think I ever beat it for a long while, to be honest. Like, later I'd get Silent Hill, and I'd beat that. And then obviously after having all of the necessary therapy to stop the nightmares from Silent Hill, the Resi games didn't seem so bad anymore. I don't know if there's anything in this room. I got Resi 3 at some point down the line too. The foot just went over the pre-rendered background. That's nice. Yeah, I got Resi 3 at some point too. And I remember that one being the first game that I really enjoyed. My stupid child brain could handle that one, because it's a bit more action-oriented, a bit more linear. I must have beaten that game dozens of times. Then I would have gone back and played 1 and 2 from there. So at that point I was just totally in love with horror games, so thanks Dad for getting me into horror games. We're coming up to the infamous Jill Savage line. Yeah, see, the pre-rendered backgrounds are cool, but they definitely get better in 2 and 3. So here we have the shotgun. You get the shotgun really early as Jill. I think when you play as Chris, you don't get it until you get the armor key, I think. He gets a broken shotgun that you replace that shotgun with to prevent this from happening to him. That 3-second loop.
Hey,
We're okay though.
what's going on?
Jill? Is that you, Jill? What happened?
Harry, help me please. The door won't open. Quick!
Jill! That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right. Barry, thanks for saving my life. But Barry, didn't you say you're going back to the dining room to do some research? Why on earth are you here?
I just had something I wanted to check. Now, let's get back to searching for the lost captain and Chris, shall we?
Thank you, Barry.
Yeah.
I love Barry so much. Oh, nothing to do with that Zombo just yet. I think there's a guy in here as well. Yep, this guy can die though. Actually. So yeah, the zombies. They take a bit to put down. That's like, what, half of my ammo? Now gone? On one enemy? We'll talk a bit more about the design in a second, I think. So for all one person that hasn't played this game, this is kind of more of a puzzle game than an action game. I do want to talk about the design kind of in depth as we go, but I do think it's really cool how they put the first puzzle item in the safe room. So you're already naturally led down this path, right? It's been quite linear at this point. The game's told you that you need to check the door on the opposite side to Barry, and then it's just kind of linear up until this room. And then we find this chemical. Now, you don't know what to do with this chemical, but it is the solution to the first puzzle. And you actually need to use this on the other side of the mansion, on the other wing. And that's past the other safe room that's in the mansion. Also, where's my relaxing Carmo music? My relaxing safe room music. So it's kind of quietly teaching you how you're going to be running back and forth, right, between the two wings of the mansion. And where it actually shows you as well roughly where the safe rooms actually are. It's made sure that you found one of the safe rooms before you start like exploring the mansion proper. I think it's always really cool when a game has like a silent tutorial to it like this. It's kind of teaching you how it works without explicitly saying how it works. If I can get my words out. Oops, wrong button. Oh, okay. You can't combine out of the box just yet. I'll keep my healing item on me. I'll put the shotgun away for now. I don't think we need it just yet. So, one of the big challenges of this game is that you have quite limited inventory space. So, Jill has 8 slots. Chris only has 6 slots, but Jill has 8. So, you can't really collect everything that you find. You actually get penalised in this game for holding onto your comfort items, like your ammo and your first aid spray. The punishment is, like, the punishment you get for holding onto these comfort items is that you have to keep backtracking a lot, which, as you can imagine, is actually quite dangerous because you're putting yourself in harm's way by backtracking. It's actually a big component of survival horror, right? Like, survival horror, or just survival in general, it's about working with what you have. We do have these item boxes, though, which are actually linked together, so every single safe room in this game, bar, like, one of them, I think, has an item box in it. And the items that I store in this item box, I can retrieve from any other item box in the game. So, for example, I've already mentioned that this chemical is used on the other side of the mansion, and there's another item box right by where you use it. So I can leave this in the item box to free up some inventory space. So it kind of creates this cool gameplay loop, I think, where you're running between these safe rooms, and you have to make decisions about what items you need for what you need for like this run, I guess you'd call it, as we move between the two wings over and over and over again, in between the item boxes. I think it's a really great design. It kind of makes the whole thing pretty daunting. Like everything is, like the design in general of this game is that everything is, it's really slow and methodical. Damage is really high, and, you know, healing items are quite scarce. Ammo and healing items are scarce. It's tense. I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's definitely tense. And obviously tension is the root of horror, not challenge. So you'll see it kind of play out as we go. So I've got two zombies here, for example. I'm gonna struggle to talk about it and play at the same time, so I just want to explain the general design of the game while we're safe. So damage is really high, right? If I get bit by a zombie, it's going to take my condition down to caution. If I get bit again, it's going to take my condition down to danger. If I get bit again, it's game over. And game overs are punishing in this game. You go back to the main menu, which means you lose all of the progress from when you've last saved the game. And you've seen how many bullets it took to put down one zombie. So I have some ammo now, but that's going to run out quickly, right? Like I'm probably going to use that entire clip if I choose to kill the two zombies above. And that's kind of the big thing with the design of this game. It's about choice. So as I said, I wouldn't say this game is difficult, but it's definitely tense. And the designers understood that tension is the root of the horror in this game, not the challenge of the game. And it seems like a pretty difficult balance to strike when you actually think about it. Like, how do you keep the player tense? You ramp up the difficulty, right? I don't know, really. You can make everything super, super dangerous so the player never feels safe and dies really easily, which this game does do, but the thing is, if the player dies a lot, that kind of kills the horror, right? Like, repetition destroys tension. If I have to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, the tension's gone. Like the other day, when I was playing the Resident Evil remake, locked to Real Survivor, which locks everything to hard mode, I felt tense throughout it, even though I know the game. That's because dying in the game is really punishing, especially if you haven't saved it for a long time. And the brilliant thing is, they disincentivize saving by making increments, which you use to save a limited resource. Can zombies not use the stairs? I can't shoot up the stairs either, I'm wasting all my ammo. What do I do now? Reset that. So they disincentivize saving by making saves a limited resource. They don't on Jill on the PC version, but they do on both both scenarios in the original game. So enemies take a lot of ammo to put down. Ammo's really scarce. I can't quite put my finger on how they strike the balance between tension and difficulty, but I think it handles it really well. So generally what you need to do is you need to figure out what enemies can I get away with killing. So what enemies are in my way? These two are probably in my way, because I know that we come back here a lot. So I'm going to kill that guy. I'm going to reload. And I'm going to kill this guy. It serves as a good example as well. He's not dead. You can tell that he's dead because blood pulls up underneath them. I think he's dead now. Yeah, cool. So, I've chosen to kill those, and look, my ammo's getting pretty scarce now already. You don't get a lot of it. And that's the skill that this game's asking of you. It's more about planning than it is about execution. So you choose what to take from the item boxes. What items are you going to add to your very, very limited inventory? So do I save the game now? Do I press forward and save it later? Do I take that risk? Every single encounter you get into is a choice. Do I risk trying to get around the zombie? Do I kill the zombie and use my ammo? Do I tank a chomp from the zombie to use a healing item? Like, what do you do? And you have to make these decisions over and over and over again throughout the entire runtime of this game. Like, each individual enemy in this game is incredibly dangerous and hard to put down. So I think that's where the tension comes from. It's really high stakes. And the brilliant thing, I think, is that each success and failure that you make across the runtime of this game, they all compound and they echo across the entire playthrough. So if I do badly now at the start of the game, it's going to be harder later, because I'm going to start exhausting the environment of all of its resources. So there's limited ammo and there's limited healing items that I'm going to pick up. So the tension, at least for the first playthrough, it comes from not knowing where the resources are, and how long you need to go without ammo if you were to run out, what you can get away with using, what you can't get away with using. If you plan poorly, you can really mess yourself up and get yourself backed into a corner. But I do feel like the game it's short enough where you can restart the game and it's not that big a deal without it being too frustrating. An example of where this is done badly is probably Code Veronica, Resident Evil Code Veronica, that comes out later. It's like the 4th game, I think, that came out. It's about 3 times as long as this one, and there are 4 or 5 different spots in the game where you can soft lock the game. You can't progress without really knowing what you did wrong. And that's the danger of games like this, where you really need to test the absolute crap out of them to make sure that players can't just brick their save file without them knowing. Because then that brings in a lot of unnecessary repetition, which, as I've said, repetition destroys the horror. I think with this first title, it's possible to beat the whole game with just a knife without taking any damage, so it is technically impossible to softlock the game, but you can definitely make it hard for yourself if you plan badly. So this whole entire element of this design is something that, as far as I know, it's unique to Resident Evil. Like, Silent Hill definitely doesn't do this, which is why I said earlier I don't think they're comparable experiences. So the first half of this game is definitely the hard part, but I'll stop rambling. I'll talk about this later when we hit the halfway point, because the design does kind of change a little bit. As you may know, there are many plants that have medical effects. Since ancient times, humans have been healing wounds and diseases using various plants. In this book, we're going to sample 3 herbs that grow around the Raccoon Mountains and give their outlines as examples of those plants with medical properties. Each herb has different colours and different effects as medical plants. The green one recovers physical strength. The blue one neutralises natural toxins, while the red herb does not have any effect by itself. The red herb is only effective when it is mixed with other herbs. For example, if you mix this herb with the herb that recovers physical strength, the recovery effect will be tripled. By adjusting the amount and experimenting with these 3 herbs, you can create various kinds of medicines, but I'll leave the details in your hands, because that's the best way to acquire true knowledge. So let's just explain the healing system to us. You find herbs dotted around the mansion, and you can combine them together. So you're able to combine 3 green herbs for 100% healing, or one green herb and 1 red herb for 100% healing. I think we need to go past this dude. See if we can get around him. We'll try. So that's another armor door. I think that's an armor door as well, so let's keep going.
Barry!
Jill, what's going on? Any clues?
No, but something's wrong with this house.
Whoa, this hall is dangerous. Maybe it's better to secure our escape route first. There must be a back door somewhere. Let's try to find it first, shall we?
Okay, let's separate again.
Just a moment. I found something.
What is it?
It's a weapon. It's really powerful, especially against living things. Better take it with you.
But how about you, Barry?
I have this.
Thank you. I'll take this then.
So, Barry's giving us some acid rounds. And he's not wrong, but they are pretty powerful against living things. Let's go find the grenade launcher. It's here on the remake, so maybe it's still here on the original. Well, there still was an armor door in the remake. Okay, it's way expanded on the remake, this area. So the grenade launcher is a really, really powerful gun in the original. We'll get some good use out of it for sure. You can put different kinds of grenades in, so if I combine the acid rounds... Oh, you can't! Okay. Moving forward, you can combine the acid rounds and take the old rounds out of it. Those are really useful against bosses and hunters and things like that later on in the game. I guess we need to use our grenade rounds first. That's new. Well, that's old. Textureless walls. Wow. Okay, you need to die, I'm afraid. Because I need to solve this puzzle. I need this item for a puzzle later. There are a lot more zombies than I remember. Luckily they're less agile than they are in the remake, so it's not too bad. I don't know the past number, you're right. So here's our second save room. Ah, there's the music. I love this tune. Again, the backgrounds are so bare. So we can take the chemical now. Give it a save. So I know where to use the chemical. I don't remember on this original game what you get for it. Oh, it was closer to me than I thought. So as you can see, I've gone yellow already after one chomp. Okay, that's an armor door, okay. So this is where you use the chemical, if I'm remembering correctly, to kill the plant. So there's a plant that will mess you up if you try and get near him. Oh, okay, it's a key on this one. Interesting. So a bunch of healing items. I'm gonna raid this place. Actually use that one. And take this one with us. So that's a lot of healing. That was generous. And we get the mansion key. So if we inspect the mansion key, so you get the armor key, which unlocks a whole bunch of doors for us. So now we can go into full exploration mode. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to head back to the item box and drop off some of these healing items. So this is what I'm saying, like, if I had limited saves now, at this point I've saved it twice, so I would have used all of my saves at this point. So you do have to go, like, quite long stints without saving it, and you have to really explore as well. You have to really explore and check the environments to make sure that you're finding the increments. What they do in later games is they always put increments next to the save points, but they don't in this one. Okay, let's go check that armor door, I guess. I mean, I might as well save it, right? Since it's free. Let's go check that armor door. I think that's where the broken shotgun is for Chris. A lot of the dodging in this game just come around to exploiting their pathfinding, to be honest. Oh, she gets the broken shotgun as well. Interesting. I won't pick it up because I don't need to. Now we're talking shotgun shells. See if I can lead them away. Nope. No good. No good. Okay, I'm still okay. I'm in the wrong room. You come back here a bit later. Some tigers had a red eye and a blue eye. I do need to come back here soon. Oh, come on! That must be a remake thing. I'm gonna need to use that now. So already I'm not doing too great. um... Sorry, I'm making a diorama of this, so I'm just getting some shots for reference. Absolutely valuable shotgun shells. Keeper's Diary. May 9th, 1998. At night, we played poker with Scott the God, Alias. Alias and Steve the Researcher. Steve was really lucky, but I think he was cheating. What a scumbag. May 10th, 1998. Today, a high-ranking researcher asked me to take care of a new monster. It looks like a gorilla without any skin. They told me to feed them live food. When I threw in a pig, they were playing with it, tearing off the pig's legs and pulling out the guts before they could actually eat it. May 11th, 1998. Around 5 o'clock this morning, Scott came in and woke me up suddenly. He was wearing a protection suit that looks like a spacesuit. He told me to put one on as well. I heard there was an accident in the basement lab. It's no wonder those researchers never rest, even at night. May 12th, 1998. I've been wearing this annoying spacesuit since yesterday. My skin grows musty and feels very itchy. By way of revenge, I didn't feed those dogs today. Now I feel better. May 13th, 1998. I went to the medical room because my back is all swollen and feels itchy. They put a big bandage on my back, and the doctor told me it did not need to wear the spacesuit anymore. I guess I can sleep well tonight. May 14th, 1998. When I woke up this morning, I found another blister on my foot. It was annoying, and I ended up dragging my foot as I went to the dog's pen. They have been quiet since morning, which is very unusual. I found that some of them have escaped. I'll be in real trouble if the higher-ups find out. May 15th, 1998. Even though I didn't feel well, I decided to go to see Nancy. It's my first day off in a long time. But I was stopped by the guard on the way out. They say the company has ordered that no one leave the grounds. I can't even make a phone call. What kind of joke is this? May 16th, 1998. I heard a researcher who tried to escape. I heard a researcher who tried to escape from this mansion was shot last night. My entire body feels burning and itchy at night. When I was scratching the swelling of my arm, a lump of rotten flesh dropped off. What the hell is happening to me? May 19, 1998. Fever gone, but itchy. Hungry and eat doggy food. Itchy Scott came. Ugly face, so killed him. Tasty. 4. Itchy, tasty. It's grim. It's grim. I really like it. What's in this room? I forget. Is this the piano room? It is the piano room. We don't need to do anything in here just yet, I don't think. Not just yet. Unless the remake is wrong. You have to do this later in the remake. I don't know about this one. This is simpler, like the path you have to take is a lot simpler. worst case scenario is I have to go back to the item box. We do need the blue jewel. We need to go put that into the tiger statue. Who moved the who moved the wardrobe back? The title is Moonlight Sonata. Do this right away on this one, okay. So the idea is that we just swap these emblems around. Which gets us something, which I can't remember what it is. Okay, it's the key. Okay, that's the same. The shield key. And then we can use the blue gem on this dude. And that gets us our first emblem that we need. I believe we need 4 of these. The wind crest. Okay, we're done with that corridor for a while. At least until we come back later on. So let's go save it and drop some of these items off. Zombies everywhere in this one. Okay, we don't need to use this for a little bit, so let's put this somewhere up here. I'm probably going to... I'm not going to waste the shotgun ammo just yet. I say waste, I'm going to use the shotgun ammo just yet. Do I need to take a healing item with me? Probably yes. And then we'll give it a save and we'll carry on next time. 'Cause that's an hour. Awesome, fun times! Next time we're going to carry on exploring. We now have 2 keys, an armor key and a shield key. So I wonder what they're for. I know what the shield key's for, I remember that part. So I look forward to seeing you then. Bye bye!